Hey folks, how we doing this Saturday? We've got a brief period of time when I can stream. I've got a change coming up soon, a change window that I got to get on a WebEx for and work on. So got the routing change coming up, but I've got a little bit of time to stream here. I was getting ready for it a little while ago and I got ready early, so I figured I'd take a minute to just bring up the stream, see what's going on with folks. The title of this one is Cautionary Tale about downloading configs. I am going to try to do a bit of a lab here in a second. My stats up here. Yeah. Okay, just checking my frames. Frames looking good. But yeah, it's been a good weekend, a really good weekend so far. Hope you're having a good weekend. I've been cruising through the labs so far. Like I worked on them this morning. And I'll show you where I've got. I'm not sure exactly where I left off Thursday because I did not stream, of course, yesterday. That's my evening off. But as you probably knew, I was getting started on IPv6, and I was just cruising through these labs here. And I got to RIP, and that went really well. I started to have some problems with RIP. Well, a couple things happened. One, and I did stream about this. That's right. I did have an issue with neighbor discovery and figuring out the solicited node multicast address and how that works. And I got through that, and that was kind of a breakthrough. So that stopped me for a little bit, but it was a good stop. You know, you get on a certain pace, and if you find something that is, you know, giving you problems, like it was for me, it was best for me instead of just breezing over it. Or that was my tendency in the past prior to failing the written exam so many times. Not anymore. Like now I make sure that I understand before I move on. So that's what I've been doing, and that's worked out. So I got through IPv6, the initial part, as you can see here. Kept cruising through RIP, and I had some problems with RIP. Not in understanding it. There are a couple of things I found. One, and this slowed me down a little bit. I would be much farther than I'm now. I've gotten through it. I've gotten all through RIP, and I've already started eigrp v6, and I would probably be done with eigrp v6 already if it wasn't for a couple of challenges that I came across. One is that for the IPv6 routing, well, for the routing protocols over IPv6 so far anyway, with RIP and eigrp, there's very limited information on them, and compared to IPv4, which I understand, a lot of the principles should be there. You know, a lot of the concepts should come from the study of IPv4 first, I would assume, unless someone's just brand new and they're in a complete IPv6 shop. But it's limited, so whether I look on, even starting with the initial part, whether I look on Cisco's documentation pages, whether I look on network lessons, and whether I look on, you know, in the INE workbook, the information is sometimes limited on what you have because there are a limited number of features. And there's been, I think, not as much development, of course, of the protocols and implementation of the protocols, and there's far fewer niche cases, for example, especially enterprise IPv6, right, which is where most of the space is. So that is understandable, but I find myself slowing down just to go back and check and, you know, see, is there more information that I can get here, or is there something missing? I'll give you an example for RIP. So there's a lab in the INE workbook about changing the metric for RIP routing updates. And I looked all over, and I really couldn't find much information at all. So I guessed. I started writing like a route map and a prefix list and, you know, match this, set that. Well, it turns out once I finally just decided, okay, this is taking me a lot longer, and I'm just guessing here. I'm not learning really. So I opened up the workbook answer. That's what I've been reluctant to do in the past. Usually I would try to figure out what the solution is before I actually reveal the answer in the INE workbook. So just, for example, full disclosure, this was, I think it was, RIP metric manipulation. So just real quick, there's a click to expand down there, as you can see. And I try to hesitate before I ever open that. But what I've learned, especially with IPv6 going forward, and to make better use of my time, is not to wait so long and to treat that like a quiz or something else. Treat it as a lesson. And that's going to help me going forward, because as soon as I revealed the answer in the workbook, it was like right up front, there's only one way to really engineer the metric for RIP NG. And here it is. And I was like, okay, well, that's information I could not even really find on Cisco's website. I'm sure it's there, but it just was difficult sort of to find. And it was not covered in network lessons. So I already see some challenges like that, some potentially in the lab, some niche things that maybe aren't covered in the workbook or that I didn't read. So I'm taking extra time to go through the technology pages on the Cisco site and all the other documentation that's available, just to make sure that I'm covering the basis. So got through RIP. Another problem I came across, as many of you know, there is a great blog post out here that is part of my notes repository on Git. And there's a link to a page that has the topology files that are already set up for EVE-NG using the IOSV images, because as many of you know, Safari can't open this address, and why not? Oh, did I cut off the H? Cut off the first. So this is where I've downloaded, and it was on my desktop. But there's a link here where someone went through and basically for the CSR 1000V, the VIOS L3 images, they went through the trouble calendar. It's great post, very helpful. But there's a cautionary tale about that. And I've already shown one sort of change I had to go back and make. And maybe I got, maybe I used the wrong link, but essentially there were not all the changes were made that worked for me for the IOSV images. So for example, I think I went through and I showed before where if you go to the configuration files, technology, some of them had the gigabit, one of the gigabit interfaces was not correct. So I did a search using Visual Studio Code. I was able to search like through the whole folder, which is a really cool feature. And we're about to use it again, by the way. And I found an issue. Well, I struggled last night and this morning, in particular with any configuration of RIP or eigrp v6 over the tunnel interface on router 5. What did I find out? Of course, except that some of these initial configurations, they don't match what INE has. So I found another error basically, and I was struggling. I mean, I spent last night like 30 minutes trying to troubleshoot my own lab, trying to figure out, okay, why is RIP not advertising properly, RIP NG? Why is it not advertising properly on this router 5 interface? Pulled up Wireshark, and I'm not even seeing packets come like egress the interface. So I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm like, you know what? This must be just a problem with RIP. So I moved on, and this morning I hit eigrp, same sort of problem. So I've got, let me bring up the topology so I can kind of explain a little better what I'm talking about. But if you're familiar with INE topology, right? So let's say we've got our router 5, and we've got a tunnel interface here, tunnel 0. Is it shown here? Okay. Yeah, we see the DMVPN. And we see the tunnel interfaces. So you might get a lab say configure router 1 and router 2 and router 5 as RIP NG neighbors. Couldn't get any routes. So I looked on router 5, same with eigrp v6, couldn't get any routes. So I do a packet capture here on this interface, and I'm seeing router 1 and router 2 send eigrp v6 hellos. Router 5 is not. Like, I look at router 5, I look at the tunnel interface, everything looks good as far as I could tell. And I'm like, why is it not, IPv6 unicast routing is up. All the basic things that shut down the interface, bring up all the typical things that you would troubleshoot. Well, it turns out that it looks like things were just kind of copied and pasted into these initial configs. And the router 5 is running an IPv4 tunnel. And the other spokes are running IPv6 tunnel. So the tunnel is actually showing up on router 5, but there's no communication. The tunnel interface is showing up. The tunnel itself is not up. So it's actually good in a way. I don't count that as lost time completely because I got to do some pretty in-depth troubleshooting. Like I figured, okay, I need to look at all the IPv6 that's going on here and see why is eigrp v6 not running? I went to the process, no shutdown, all those things, show IPv6 protocols, went through all that, and still router 5 is not sending the hellos. And then I looked at the tunnel interface this morning, just as I had to break away. I was like, I think that's a problem. So let's pull up the lab right now, and I think we're going to see it. Thought I had sorry. Try not to bounce around Windows too much. I know I'm bad about that. Let's just log into our lab. I've got the lab open. As you can see, well, yeah, ePro is running on this local machine. Casadix, how are you, my friend? I know I'm streaming a little earlier today, and I can't stream for long, unfortunately. In about a half hour, I have to break away again. I have a upcoming change window that I'm working on. But yeah, good to see you, man. Glad we've got some folks in the chat here. Someone in the chat. I never know on the weekends, unless I'm doing a long session. Generally may not get too many people to see it live, which is cool. Okay, we've already got 3 routers. No, we don't. So I think let's look at the startup. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's router 5. Well, let's look at a router that is configured correctly. So notice we're using IPv6 for our GRE tunnel here. And our DMVPN, I should say, which of course is GRE. And as you can see, no IP address, and you have an IPv6 address. This was not covered, by the way, I don't think, in the workbook. We had the IPv6 section, but there was RIP-NG over NBMA. Oh, IPv6 tunneling. I wonder if that is GRE or not, or DMVPN. It might be under the DMVPN section or VPN section. Yeah, I don't see it there, so I don't know. I may need to do a lab on my own for that later on, because this is already pre-configured. Like, I don't know that I could. I mean, the command syntax looks pretty much the same, but I would like to practice that before I sit for the lab, of course. But that's correct. But if we look on router 5, notice the tunnel interface right here. For DMVPN is IPv4. And that cost me, has cost me 2 hours of troubleshooting time before I found that, which I blame myself. It's a typographical error on that web page, that website, I'm sure. It could have been that INE actually had it wrong and later corrected it. But let's just check and see what is the case here. So here's the links. Let's just go out to this page. And let's download them again, because it doesn't take long for me to change it with VS Code. So here I have downloaded the INE config files. I'm just going to delete them because I can... Okay, here are all the initial configuration files. Now this says... This post was like in June, it looks like. Which I may just reach out to this blogger if he's not aware, he or she. But okay, so there's from this blogger's page, which I'm not, Kaylin, yeah, I'm not trying to, I highly respect the blogger for doing this. It has saved me a lot of time. But if we go to the INE workbook and download the same, then granted, here we would have to change, well, let's go, we could just click on any lab. It says, you must load the initial configuration files for the section eigrp v6 initial. And where you get those is on this page, which is a public page. And these are the config files, right? I think they're actually linked below. So let's just compare and see where the error is. So if we look here, this is from the blog. I'm just going to call these CZ blog. And this is from INE's own website. We're going to call this ZZ INE config files. I know it looks weird the way I do the Z. This just helps me keep everything in order because I like everything ordered here and in the sidebar. I use these interchangeably a lot. This helps me keep them in order. NHRP is in place. This maps spokes IPs. Well, I will show you, my friends. So let's look at the blog. Advanced Technology Labs. And this one is eigrp v6 initial. And look at router 5. Oh, this one is correct. So I may have to eat my words on that. Somehow, I'm not sure. I was pretty sure I copied and pasted from here into my lab. So maybe it just did not get copied, or there was an issue with the EvenG software. Let's find out. Let's try to copy and paste again. So let's go back to the actual from the INE's website. That's why I checked. I'd taken a little extra time to check because I don't want to impute typos on another blogger when it's probably my typo. eigrp v6 initial. I know this one is correct because I looked at it earlier. Okay, well, somehow this did not get, like I could have sworn that I went here to router 5 and I did a copy paste. So we're going to do that same thing again. But what I'm going to do with VS Code, and just to be sure, I'm just gonna disregard from the blog, and I'm just gonna use what I found, you know, the straight download from INE. And we're just gonna clean those up and make them work for us. Oh, that's my little, I don't need that for right now. I'll probably have just enough time to do this. Open. And I actually want to open a folder. This one. Save. And we're going to search through here. Find in files, yeah. So wherever it says gigabit Ethernet 1, we're going to say gigabit Ethernet 01. We need to do that everywhere except on the switches, because the switches are a different interface. Oh, those are, I don't see any switches in here. This is all routers. R10, yeah. What do the switch interfaces say? Let's find initial spanning tree, maybe. LAN switching. Well, these probably have the fast Ethernet, don't they? Yeah, I can change those later. All right, so we're going to place all of these. Done, I think. Find. Okay, cool. Let's say 2. Replace. Oh, no, we want this to be 0. 2. And then we want, give it Ethernet 3 with 03. And I don't think we have 4 at all. No. Yeah, we don't really use 0 at all. Okay, so we should be good now. So now if I go back to eigrp v6 initial, router 5, the tunnel should be straight. Yeah, now this this should work. So which one is this? Let's close the lab. Okay, eigrp initial. Yep. Open it. And go back to startup configs, router 5. Save. I'm just going to do all these. Router 1. Oh, I am taking this out for this particular lab just because so I can see everything in Wireshark. Take that out. And this, and then we should be good to go. A 4. And 5. Let me make sure I took it out of there. Okay. Save. All right. 6. Go back to 5 as well. Let me just make sure I did that. Yeah. All right. 7. It does not have the VPN tunnel, of course, or DMVPN tunnel. And router 8. And 9. And 10. Okay, now we should be good to go. We will wipe configs. And we will boot, in this case, router 1, 2, and 5. And actually, we'll start a eigrp lab. We'll do it pretty quickly. I've already done this lab a couple of times, just troubleshooting it, but I have not checked it off because I had this tunnel problem. Okay, so yeah, we'll do a couple of meat chunks. This is pretty cool. Tools that are pre-installed in CloudShell. I did not realize split horizon issues. No, again, the tunnel, despite me thinking I had copied the correct configuration for router 5, the NHRP was set up with IPv4 at the hub, and the spokes were using IPv6. So the actual GRE tunnel was not passing any traffic. That was the issue. But we have just fixed that issue. Now the configuration is as it should be, and we should be able to complete this lab now. It should work gangbusters. I think the requirements, let me go back to those. Surely I did not close that window already. I have closed windownitis. It's a I did close a window. You'll see me constant close windows because for streaming, I'm only working really with, I have multiple monitors here, but on the streaming, this computer, I have 2 monitors and one of them which I have to display everything. So, yeah, we just need on here. Yeah, routers 1, 2, and 5, enable on tunnel interface, advertise loopbacks. They do want us to use a password value of Cisco for authentication, which is fine. So let's bring up our, let's log into the lab again. I guess I could have used that other window, yeah. And we will console to all nodes. And we're going to say, first of all, we'll just do IPv6 router eigrp 100, no shut. And then interface T0, 6 router eigrp 100. IPv6 eigrp 100 enable, I think is a command. IPv6 eigrp 100. And that's how you turn it on, right? We do need to do IPv6 no IPv6 split horizon eigrp 100. And then we need to enable it on the loopback. I'll get to authentication in a minute. I just want to make sure that the router actually comes up correctly. So say interface L0, IPv6 eigrp 100, interface T0, IPv6 eigrp 100, IPv6 eigrp 100, or is it IPv6 router eigrp 100? I always have to remember where to use the router keyword. No shutdown. Also IPv6 multicast routing. I don't know if that's enabled or not. So just in case. I should get adjacencies now. Yeah, I don't know what tunnel 1 is. Show IPv6 interface brief. So tunnel 0 has a IPv6 enabled. It has IPv6 address. Show IPv6 router eigrp 100 interfaces. Okay, so it is why is that wrapping? Don't wrap. No wrapping, please. Okay, that's good. Tunnel 0 and loopback 0. And I don't know what this tunnel 1 is. Okay, interface is up. We've got an IP address. Show IPv6 eigrp interfaces. And we've got activity on, we've got messages on tunnel 0. Show IPv6 eigrp 100 neighbors. No neighbors. This is what I was getting before. So let's see, show IPv6 protocols. eigrp 100. We have router ID, max path, interfaces, tunnel 0, loopback 0. That's good. Show interface T0. Line protocol is up. Do I have to change the tunnel mode? I wouldn't think so. We have 0 packets input though. Show run interface T0. Oh, the protection profile. Now you all saw me erase it. Right? I mean, okay, now we got an adjacency. Awesome. Yay. So router 2, let's check on him. Oh, we didn't start it. That's fine. I'm low on time, so I'm going to keep going with just router 1 and 5. Well, no. We'll do 2 because what we want to see is the effectiveness of split horizon. So we'll let that boot up as well. In the meantime, we will configure our authentication. Key chain. No, key chain. And we'll call it key chain 1. Key 1. And we'll say it is key string Cisco. Same on router 1. Key chain. That's locally significant value, right? Doesn't matter. Key 1 and key string Cisco. And then on the interfaces that we're using for our adjacency, which would be tunnel 0, we're going to say IPv6 authentication keychain eigrp 100 chain 1 IPv6 authentication mode eigrp 100 MD5. Yeah, I want to see this too. I want to capture this. So tunnel will go down. What we want to see is we'll watch it come up. Good stuff, good stuff. Let's go look at router 5. Interface peer termination received, of course. So we're going to say interface tunnel 0, IPv6 authentication, key chain 1, eigrp 100. Where did I go wrong? Where did I go astray? Okay, looks good to me. IPv6. What was different here? IPv6 authentication, keychain, eigrp1. IPv6 authentication, keychain. Oh, the eigrp goes before the keychain name, which is interesting. Anyway, a little counterintuitive to what I would think. Authentication mode. Same thing with mode. You do mode, but you don't specify the mode yet. You do mode, and then you say eigrp 100 MD5. There's only one option here, by the way, also. It's eigrp. Okay, tunnel is up. Cool. And I am seeing nothing. We got nothing. Let's try again. You know, sometimes you try, you ask your boss for a raise, you don't get it, you try again. This is not running in Azure, so my system, like, I can tell it's like heating up. Just running 3 routers. And go. Okay, we're not going to, that's all right. I will figure out what's happening there. But I think we're almost done with this lab. We've got that going. Let's check out router 2. IPv6, unicast routing, interface. Oh, IPv6 router, eigrp 100. No shut. Interesting command that you have to do that with the eigrp, right? It will not run unless you do the no shut. Interface. And I guess, not sure what the rationale is behind that. I'm sure there is one. I just don't know what it is. Let's do our keychain first, actually. So we'll do keychain, chain 1, key 1, and key string Cisco. Then interface T0, IPv6, eigrp 100, IPv6, authentication, keychain, eigrp 100, chain 1, IPv6, and it's not doing authentication yet, right? Mode, eigrp 100, MD5. I'll try to remember that. We should actually get an adjacency now. Boom, there we go. I wonder if I did a capture on router 1, if I would see anything. This is even G Pro also, so like this should usually work without a hitch. There we go. Yeah, JRP. So there we have it. There's our hello. I actually want to bring down router 2, bring it back. Oh, well, router 5 and bring it back up. Interface T0 shut. And no shut. And let's look at our PCAPs. Got our update message. We've got IPv, yeah, GRE IPv6. That was the problem all along, was the, oh, termination received from router 2. Why is that? Hello, ACK. Updates, nice. So first of all, we should see inside of here. Yeah, authentication is MD5. There's our digest. And these are our routes. There's the loopback. So if we do show IPv6 eigrp neighbor, there are 2 neighbors. FE80:2, FE80:1, uptime. Smooth round trip time. RTO, Q count. Q count is 1. I'm waiting to send. Oh man, I need to look that up and see what that is again. I studied this a good bit before the written to see what these. It's interesting. eigrp, and I'm assuming version 6 and version 4. You know, it doesn't use TCP. It's its own protocol, but it has its own error control mechanism. So tunnel is down, up. Interesting. Might be having some issues with router 2. Hold down time expired. Yeah, why is that? Let me look at the workbook answer since I'm kind of pressed for time. and see if I have everything right. It does not have me using split horizon here. So let's turn that back off. That's obviously causing an issue. I don't know exactly why. I do want to study that some more in the GRE lab. Let's say IPv6 split horizon eigrp 100. So that will, yeah, that will cause it automatically to reinitiate the adjacency, right? Which I guess that's fine. We're not asking router 1 and router 2 to form an adjacency with each other. But let's now see show I. Okay, these are our neighbors currently. IPv6 route eigrp. And we are learning, we have the loopback of router 1, but not of router 2. And we're fine there. So again, I've always chalked this up new adjacency, okay. I don't know, folks, things do seem to be a bit buggy sometimes with IPv6 protocols in these labs. I had a lot of issues with RIP, and I thought it was because of maybe the tunnel was wrong there as well, but we're going to find out. I may actually go back and do one of those RIP. Yeah, we're not seeing 2, and we're actually capturing on 2, I thought. Maybe that's an issue. There's an issue with this capture interface in the lab or something. That's when that's like that, it's hard to read. I can't do it. That's the thing with IPv6, your output is going to be wider usually. Yeah, router 5. So show IPv6 eigrp route. We're learning router 5s, and that's fine. Router 5 should know both, though. But you'll notice, I think I did a capture on router 2, but I don't see any hellos from router 2. Yeah, something is... did I not put authentication? He says he's a neighbor, though. Yeah, I'm getting close on time here. Oh, loopback 0 is not advertised. Interface L0. There we go. Now we'll see it. We got it. But still, I should be seeing... Maybe I captured on router 1. I did. Okay, that's why. But yeah, destination looks good. This all looks normal. We got our hellos. We got our updates. Router 1 should now know about router 2's loopback as well. I don't know what those are coming from. Show IPv6 route eigrp. Yeah, we don't know about it. That's because split horizon is turned off. Man, I'm getting close on time, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on just to see what happens. Interface T0. Actually, we would put that on the physical interface. Okay, let's put it here. Interface T0. The lab does not say to do that, but no IPv6, split horizon. So we break. Graceful restart. Yeah, according to this lab workbook, only really router 5 will know about both routes, but show IPv6 eigrp route. I need to get those in the right order. Okay. Well, yeah, so now he does learn. So just one neighbor, but router 5 is advertising the route that it learns from router 1 back out of the same interface. And router 2 can reach him. So interesting that that is not even mentioned in the workbook. But I'm finding that the people are not, I guess, I can understand the reasons they're not taking as much time to review, because a lot of these same principles were covered when we're studying the V4 version, right? All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for me. I have to get ready for my change coming up here shortly. I got to jump on a WebEx. We got a little bit of labbing in today. I want to do some more work tonight, and we'll see how far we get. I've got... How many labs we have eigrp? So that one is done. 1, 2, 3, 4. These will probably go pretty quick. So I would imagine that tomorrow I'll be labbing on the stream. I'll lab OSPF v3, which I'm looking forward to. And man, we are cruising through IPv6, which is great because QoS is going to really give us a run for our money. It's going to give us a battle. So, all right, that's going to be it. Thanks so much for stopping by in the stream. As always, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you get 1 free Twitch Prime account a month. Feel free to click that sub button if you have one, just laying around. And thanks so much for stopping in. Thanks for good to see you, Casadix, in the chat. We shall see you all tomorrow. I'll post in Discord when the stream is about to start. Have a great rest of your Saturday.